Today we're talking about 10 ways your family wins when you practice self-care. This is so important because right now you might be thinking practicing self-care takes time away from your family, right? And you might be struggling with that. It might bring about a lot of shame or guilt or negative feelings. And the truth of the matter is self-care actually benefits your family in so many ways. And today we're going to just go over just 10 of them, but the list is not exhaustive. Oh, let me get back on Facebook. Okay. Let me know if you're watching this live too. It's always fun to make it a conversation rather than just one way. And if you're listening to this on the Repurpose podcast, come join the Facebook group so that way you can catch it live and you can jump into the comments and interact. So this list is by no means exhaustive, which means that there's going to be lots of more benefits. And when I was first starting out, like when 2011, not when I started out as a parent, my oldest was 11 years old at that point. I feel like that was a turning point where I finally figured out how to practice self-care without feeling guilty. Now, that's not to say that I didn't do stuff for myself before that. You know, I would be going to gyms, I would go out, I was in mom groups, but a lot of the things that I did before that really centered around my kids and my family and that self-sacrifice mentality. And I felt a lot of guilt to do anything for myself or do anything on my own, even to have my own interests. I can say that I definitely struggled with codependency. And it really took a toll on my relationships with my kids, with my husband, with my parents, like with everyone that was in my life. So when in 2011, when I started really getting past the perfectionism, the people pleasing, getting to the root of why I was doing what I was doing and why I was feeling the way I was feeling, when I started doing some more self-development, that was the point that I realized that, self-care wasn't just for me. It was for my family. Like making that mindset shift and recognizing how my family benefited helped me get out of my, get past my limiting beliefs, get past that thought, that the trap that I was in that was making me feel guilty, those thoughts and those self-beliefs. It really made me shift those beliefs. And so I hope today, by you learning about ways that your family benefits or your family wins when you practice self-care, that'll help you, one, get signed up for the self-care challenge that's happening on the 19th, and two, create that same mindset shift. For you to shift that perspective and start recognizing that self-care is not selfish. Self-care is not about you. It's about making you a better person, of course, the best version of yourself. But it benefits your family. Because when you are spending every single waking minute doting on your family, like moment with your child, in and out, or you're making sure that everything is perfect and you're ignoring your own needs, are you really your best version? Are your children getting the best version of you? The answer is no. If you're neglecting your own needs, if you're not taking the time to ask yourself, what do I need? What do I want in life? What do I like? What do I don't like? All of these self-discovery questions, you may have lost yourself. I use that metaphor, you lost yourself under your supermom cape because you're so busy taking care of everyone and everything else that you forget who you are on the inside. I just saw last night, I saved the audio for my Instagram reels, and it was a thing about, it's time for me to find myself. Because not as a mom, not as a wife, not as any of the roles that you're playing, but who you truly are. And what makes you unique. And that only happens with self-care. And your children and your husband and your family and your friends, like those people that are in your life, they deserve to know the real you. And you can only show that to them when you know yourself. And so if your children, if your family are not getting the best version of you because you are not taking care of yourself, now you're not practicing regular self-care, then perhaps it's time to look into what you can do to take better care of yourself. And that's where the self-care challenge comes in, because you're going to define what it is that refills you. So one of the biggest gifts that you can give to your family is a safe, calm, nurturing, responsive, secure relationship. And the only way that you can get that is by getting to know yourself, by learning to love yourself, by learning to love yourself so much that self-care becomes a regular practice. It's not something that you have to say, oh, I've got to do self-care today. And for those of you listening to this on podcast, that's like air quotes around that, right? Like, you're not going to say that to yourself. Because when you start shifting those self-beliefs and you start changing the way that you see yourself, you are going to a natural consequence is that you're going to start practicing self-care. You're going to do things that take care of yourself because you consider yourself worthy of prioritizing. Eating well, sleeping well, making sure that you are getting outside, engaging in some mindfulness, being fully present in the moment, finding ways to meet your personal needs, just simply asking yourself, what is it that I need today? You'll be able to take better care of your family, better care of your children. You'll be able to fill your own needs, and then you can start taking better care, because you're taking better care of all those that are depending on you, because you are your best version. Sorry, I get on a rampage about this because it's so important. It's so important to be taking care of yourself. All right, so let's do this, shall we? All right, 10 ways that taking care of you allows your family to benefit, right? 10 ways your family wins by you practicing self-care. Number 1, you get sick less often. When you are taking better care of yourself, when you're getting the sleep you need, feeding yourself with the nutritious food, not downing a peanut butter and jelly on the fly, if you do that at all, right? Not skipping breakfast because you're too busy making everyone else breakfast that you can't stop and make yourself a sensible meal. You improve your immune system. It builds up any resistance you have to diseases and illnesses, and it allows you to be your best self. Like, your immune system is strong, and you're healthy, and you build up that resistance to any diseases and illnesses. Because, I've heard so many moms, and I've said it myself in the past, moms can't get sick. That's a bunch of bull. Let's just be honest. We can get sick. But it's the stopping and resting and giving yourself the rest that your body needs to heal. That's the part we struggle with. We struggle because we just continue to push forward and push on, thinking under that mindset, oh, the world will stop spinning if I don't do what I need to do. I've been there. I get it. It's hard to rest. It's hard to see other people resting when you build up that resentment. Because it's you're standing in your own way. Let me just tell you that. You're standing in your own way. And it's killing you from the inside out. But when you start putting yourself higher up on your to-do list and start taking care of your needs, you're going to be less resistant to sickness. You're going to be giving yourself that permission to sit and rest, because you need it. We need rest, right? Even God rested when he was creating the world, the 7th day. He rested, right? We are made in his image. We are made to rest. When mom's happy, everyone's happy. This is number two way your family wins. Because you are in a better mood, right? That expression, when mom's happy, everyone's happy, it's true. Like, I noticed that in my own family. When I'm in a bad mood, I start seeing my kids, my husband, like, everyone's reacting to me. And so it's important that I keep my mood up. But that can be exhausting if I'm not feeling it. But when I do take the time for myself, which is every single day, I notice a difference in my own mood, and that ripples out to my family. When I don't practice self-care, when I don't give myself that time and space or ask myself, what is it that I need? I feel irritable, angry, tense, stressed, right? Like just that tightening, like stress feeling. My patience wears thin very quickly. I've got a shorter fuse. It affects my sleep. It affects my eating patterns, right? Like everything's thrown off, which is why self-care has become such a huge part of my life, and I've become such a huge advocate, making sure that you are all making space for yourself in your day. Because I know how your mood can be affected, and your entire family can be affected by that mood. Number 3, it improves your productivity in and out of the house. So this is like, you just get more done. And that's the thing. Like you say like, oh, well, it's taking away time from my family, or I've got way too much to do. When you start making space for yourself in your day, you actually feel more energetic and you get more done. So it balances it out. It doesn't even balance it out. It even makes it more so in the productivity part, when you start taking care of yourself and you start giving yourself space to work on yourself. It makes you a better caregiver. So by practicing self-care, it allows you to be more calmer, more patient, more present. And I know that that's something that many of you want to do. I could probably guarantee that all of you want to be more present in the moment. When our kids were when the babies were in the womb, right? That's one of the number one things that people say is, oh my gosh, it's going to be by in a blink of an eye, and they grow up so fast, and all of these things that signify that like your kids are going to be grown in a blink of an eye, like to enjoy this moment. And when we're so busy, when we've got so many things and a to-do list a mile long, it's hard to be present, if not impossible to be present in the present moment and not have mom brain or being pulled in a million different directions. And it's exhausting. Can we agree on that? It's very exhausting. And so you will want to practice. When you practice more self-care, you can be more present when you're practicing self-care each day, when you're creating that space for yourself. Number 5, it improves your problem-solving abilities. Because self-care helps to clear your mind, right? Like that mom brain and feeling pulled in a million different directions. It helps you tap into your creativity and fresh thinking to disrupt the way that you view obstacles, and it allows you to reframe them, to come up with better solutions. And so when you are making space for yourself each day, it allows you to be a better problem solver. And how many problems do we deal with each day? I know I myself, by the time dinner comes around, like by the time the afternoon comes around, decision fatigue is a real thing, right? Like I'm just exhausted. I'm like, I don't even want to think about what's for dinner. But when you've got that clearer mind, it takes less effort to make decisions. It's because you've got that clearer mind, you've got the clarity that allows you to, you know what, I know what's the problem. I guess I can't log out of Facebook because I'm live on here. Okay. So we've got the first 5 are your immune system. It improves your immune system. Can't even say that word. It allows you to have a better mood. It increases your productivity. It helps you to be a better caregiver, and it improves your problem-solving capabilities. Okay, number 6, it reduces stress. When I'm getting stressed out, when I'm feeling the stress, right? Because I'm telling you, practicing self-care isn't going to eliminate stressful moments. It's going to help you shift your perspective so that you don't view as much stuff as being stressful. It's going to increase your coping skills so that you can deal with that stress, but it's not going to decrease the stress in your life. Like there's still going to be some stress, right? Stress it's always going to be there, right? Even when you're lying on a beach sipping Mai Tai, like that might be the moment that your stress level is pretty low. But in the days in and outs of having a kid, like when you're surrounded by kids, you're going to feel some stress, right? But it's going to allow you to increase your ability to cope with it. It allows you to be physically, mentally, and emotionally able to deal with all of life's pressures and stressors. So while self-care in itself is not going to eliminate stress in your life, it's going to allow you, because remember, change happens from within. It's going to allow you to be better able to cope with the stressors. It's also going to make you a better role model for your kids. They see that not only that self-care is important, but that you are important, that you're worthy of respect, and you're worthy of making time and space for yourself. And you're worthy of having, they're going to learn boundaries, which is so important. They're going to see mom taking care of herself. And that's huge. Because when they grow up, not only your daughters, but your sons, they're going to recognize that self-care is important, that they shouldn't be neglecting themselves in lieu of taking care of everyone and everything else. They're going to see that you're building these healthier habits, developing your coping skills, setting healthy boundaries, all of these things that come along with practicing self-care. It's going to allow you to be this better role model for your kids. It's also going to foster independence in your kids and in your husband, right? Because marriage is a dance, right? You learn what the other person's steps are, or what their responsibilities are and all this stuff. So it's going to help when you're doing everything for them. One, it's exhausting, it's overwhelming, it can bring on a lot of stress. But it also prevents them from gaining autonomy and taking responsibility for themselves. And so making sure that you are not doing everything for them, allowing them the opportunity to do things for themselves. Because when you are when you're exhausting yourself, making sure that everyone's got dinner, everyone's got a perfect balanced meal, everyone's got their backpacks packed, everyone's got their work shirts ironed, right? All of these things that you might be running around doing, you are denying them the opportunity to be responsible for themselves. If you're running up, I'm just thinking the other day, my son, what did he forget? No, it wasn't my son, it was my daughter. She's been driving to school every few days, and she drives all the kids to school, and she got to school and forgot her volleyball stuff and everything. So at that point, it's storming outside. I don't know if you can hear that, but that's thunder. So she got to school and she called me up in a panic. Holy smokes, it's so dark outside. So she called me up in a panic saying that she forgot everything and can I bring up her backpack? Well, at that point, I used to be, sure, I'll come right up. I'll be right up and drop everything and go. But I didn't. And so she had to come home and get it. She was a little late for her first class, but I can guarantee you she's not going to be forgetting it for the rest of the year. Whereas on the other hand, if I was to rush to her rescue, the chances are she'd probably forget. It wouldn't be the first thing on her mind when she gets up in the morning to make sure she has all her stuff together the night before and all of that stuff, right? So I was able to allow her to take responsibility and learn that lesson from, without rushing into her rescue. It also prolongs your life and your quality of life. Because if you're anything like me, I want to be around for my grandkids, and I'm sure you do too. So when you start practicing self-care, instead of neglecting yourself, instead of putting yourself last on your to-do list where you just fall off, right? At the end of the day, you're too exhausted to even do anything and you binge on Netflix. When you start putting yourself first, you improve your life. You improve your quality of life. And it has been proven, scientific journals, I'm not going to quote them right here, but I'm sure I could do some research and come up with some journals because I've seen them before, some journal articles written about how it does prolong your life when you practice self-care. I mean, it's common sense. I don't think I even have to prove it with the journals, but just think about it, right? Teach your kids that they do not need to sacrifice who they are or what they want, what they're passionate about, that they can continue to be themselves when they start their own family. This kind of goes back to the role model thing, but this is helping them see that to escape that hustle culture, to escape that self-sacrifice mentality and realize that they don't have to sacrifice who they are under their supermom cape, right? They can still be super just like you can be without having to do everything, without having to do all the things. So there you go. 10 ways that your family wins when you practice self-care. Let's just review them one more time. So it improves your immune system. It improves your mood. It improves productivity. It helps you be a better caregiver. It improves problem solving, your problem solving skills. It reduces stress and increases your ability to cope with it. It allows you to be a better role model. It fosters independence. It prolongs your life and your quality of life. And it teaches your kids that they do not have to sacrifice who they are or their passions. So if you struggle with this, if you struggle with self-care and putting yourself on your to-do list, I want you to join the challenge. It's momswithoutcapes.com/challenge. I'm going to go ahead and throw the link in the comment section under this or in the show notes if you're listening to this through the podcast. And come join us. Get your name on the wall behind me. And starting September 19th, you will learn what it is that fills your cup and how to make time for it. So come join the fun.